Once upon a time, a man was walking past a village when suddenly saw a beautiful bird walking on the ground next to a tree. The man quickly picked up the bird. The terrified bird flapped its wings several times in the man's hands. But when it couldn't escape, it spoke and said,
"Oh man, set me free. My chicks are waiting for me."
The man stroked the bird's head and said, "Who would miss such an opportunity? A bird so beautiful with so much delicious meat? No way," the bird pleaded.
"How much meat do we birds have that you've come to think of eating us?"
The man replied, "What would benefit me if I freed you?" The bird said,
"If you free me, I will give you 3 valuable pieces of advice worth much more than my meat."
The man asked doubtfully, "How do I know you're telling the truth?" The bird replied,
"I'll give you the first piece of advice right now in your hands. If you release me, I'll give you the second piece of advice from the top of that tree in front of you, and the third piece of advice from the top of that mountain as well."
The man thought momentarily and said, "Maybe your words are worth more. Tell me the first piece of advice." The bird said,
"The first piece of advice is, never regret anything you have lost, because regret for the past is useless."
The man took one last look at the bird and hesitantly opened his fingers. The bird flew out of his hand quickly and perched on the branch of a tree. The man said, "Tell me the second piece of advice. Maybe it will be useful." The bird said,
"The second piece of advice is, never believe any impossible words."
Then it flew towards the mountain and perched where no one could reach it, and in a loud voice said,
"Oh man, what a mistake you made. In my stomach were 3 precious gems, each weighing 10 grams, and you so easily lost them."
Hearing this, the man slapped his hands on his head and sighed in regret. The bird laughed and said,
"Why are you regretting?"
The man said, "If you were in my situation, wouldn't you be sorry?" The bird replied,
"Strange. Didn't I tell you not to regret the past? Didn't I tell you not to believe any impossible words?"
The man asked in wonder, "Which impossible words?" The bird said,
"Didn't you think about this? How could a bird as small as me have gems that weigh so much? Why did you believe something so unbelievable?"
The man said, "Please tell me the third piece of advice. Maybe it will be useful." The bird said,
"If you were clever, you wouldn't have forgotten the first 2 pieces of advice. Since you didn't listen, why would you want to hear the third one?"
The bird said this, opened its wings wide, and flew away from the mountain. It disappeared into the blue sky and never came back. The man was unfortunate and sorry, so he went home and thought about what had happened all night. This story teaches us that focusing on the present and future is essential, rather than dwelling on the past. Regret can hold us back and prevent us from growing and improving. It's important to remember that everyone makes mistakes, and that's okay. What matters is how we learn from those mistakes and move on.